Shalom, shalom. Once again, I'm Minister Yoel Shiloh Israel, one of the many servants and witnesses of the mighty Yah. And I'm here today to bring another message to our people, to awaken our people to the great truths of the mighty Yah. And as I always do, I must sanctify the mighty Yah by giving him all praise, all glory, all honor that is truly due unto his holy and divine name by saying Hallelujah. So once again, it's a great blessing to come before all Israel and before the world in our attempt to bring the so-called African American black man and woman and those that are scattered in the isles and in the motherland back to the holiness of the mighty Yah. So it's a great honor and a great blessing. And today we're going to deal with the scroll of Isaiah, the scroll of Isaiah, and in particularly the 53rd chapter of Isaiah, because for years that has confused a lot of Israelites, and we definitely it has a lot of the Christian community in a total state of confusion. So we're going to straighten out Isaiah, the so-called 53rd chapter, and we're also going to deal with the Pauline epistles. We're going to deal with the Pauline doctrine today, because you're going to be surprised. Many of you all, there are adherents to the New Testament and to the Pauline doctrine, what's going to be brought forth today. So if anyone have any questions, anyone have any comments, as I always allow, just call in. Just call in with your questions, with your comments at area code 513-377-5815. That's 513-377-5815. But I want to start. Which one I want to start with first? And I hope my beloved brothers and sisters tune in, because they definitely wanted me to speak on the Pauline doctrine and why do I not accept Paul's writings, Paul epistles, Paul letters, which may I add, Paul has more books in the New Testament than anyone. And although Paul was not a disciple of Yahushua or Yeshua or the Christ of the New Testament, wasn't a disciple of his at all, was not a follower of the Christ of the New Testament at all. But yet, he has more books in the New Testament than anyone. And I was going to broadcast this by way of Facebook. But as you have been seeing from the last 3 broadcasts, it has been interrupted, cut off by Facebook, even affected YouTube when I was broadcasting via YouTube. So they're afraid. The Gold's bird, the rocking birds, the silver's birds, they are afraid. The Gentile kingdom is on fire, it's burning. The house is on fire and they can't put it out. They can't put it out at all. The Creator is bringing this nation down. And regardless if they call themselves trying to prohibit myself from getting the message out, the Creator said, I have thousands of servants, thousands scattered through the 4 corners of the earth that exalts me, that magnifies me, that teach my people what I say, and not what Paul said to the Romans, not what Paul said to the Galatians, not what Paul said to the Ephesians, but they all come in my name. And this is what I do. If we turn to the book of, I believe it's Psalms 71. Let's start it off. Let's go to Psalm 71. Let's see what King David said. Let's see what the future Messiah said. And lo and behold, Israelites is waiting for the Messiah. And the Creator named his Messiah that shall return to earth in the last days, and he named you by name. Just as you want to see, he named his servant by name in the book of Isaiah, the 53rd chapter. But this is what the future, the Messiah said. I believe it's in Psalm 71. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Psalm 71. Yes. If you go to the book of Psalms, the 71st chapter, this is what King David said in verse 16. He said, I will go in the strength of Yahweh Elohim. I will make mention of thy righteousness, even of thine only. And that's what I do. Anytime I'm dealing with spiritual warfare, spiritual battle, I go in the strength of the mighty Yah. I always go in his strength. And when you do, you won't fail. You can't lose. How can you lose when you're going in the strength of the Creator? You cannot. When you're sticking according to his word and not adding on to it, not taking away from it, see, then you will start losing the battle. You will start losing the warfare. When you start adding to his word, like they do in the Quran, when you start taking away from their word, like they do in the New Testament, then you will only lose the battle, folks. So I come in the name of the true and living Elohim. And we're gonna start off first with let's start off with the Pauline doctrine. Let's start off with the Pauline doctrine. And let's go to the book of Galatians. Let's go to Galatians, the first chapter. And y'all can share it to Facebook, but y'all might get cut off. That's all I'll let y'all know ahead of time. We'll go to the book of Galatians, the first chapter. Galatians chapter 1. And get any minister in the world to call in. And I mean any rabbi, any deacon, any so-called reverend, any Messianic Israelite. And when I'm talking about Messianic Israelite, because we all Messianic. We all believe in messiahs. And all your prophets were messiahs. The kings were messiahs. The priests were messiahs. They was anointed by the Creator. That's all it comes from the Hebrew word Messiah, which means the anointed, to be anointed by the Most High. But our people lose their mind when they read in the book of Daniel when it speaks about a Messiah, because that's the only book that you see the word Messiah mentioned that. In all the other books of the Tanakh and Torah, you are only going to see anointed. And of course, the Christ of the New Testament, he is the Messiah of the New Testament. So when they seen that, and their mind automatically went to Christ. And they weren't talking about the Christ of the New Testament at all. How can that be talking about the Christ of the New Testament? Are y'all kidding me? When after his death, they made sin offerings. How can that be talking about the Christ of the New Testament? When the temple was built, he was not even born yet. How could that be talking about the Christ of the New Testament? Are you kidding me? Don't even know what the midst of the week is. It's shameful. Well, let's deal with this. Let's go to the book of Galatians, the first chapter. And we're going to start reading in the 11th verse where it says, this is Paul speaking. And he says, but I certify you, brethren, that the gospel which was preached of me, it is not after man. I didn't receive this from no man. This does not come from no man at all. No man living, is what Paul was saying. He said, for I neither received it of man, neither was I taught it by any man, but by the revelation of Yahushua. So he's saying that the Christ of the New Testament, or Yeshua, is the one that gave him this revelation of this gospel that he was to go and preach. But we're going to explore, we're going to see, is this true or not? Because this is true for tradition. And we're going to see if Paul is telling the truth or he's telling a barefaced lie. Then we go down. We go to the second chapter of Galatians and see what gospel he's speaking about that he received from the Christ of the New Testament. We go to Galatians, the second chapter. In verse 7, it says, but contrariwise, when they saw that the gospel of the uncircumcision was committed unto me, as the gospel of the circumcision unto Peter. For he that wrote affectionately in Peter to the apostleship of the circumcision, the same was mighty to me towards the Gentiles. So he's bringing out another fact that as he was given a gospel of the uncircumcision, this revelation that he received from the Christ of the New Testament, Peter had the gospel of the circumcision. Now, folks, those are two different gospels. totally in opposition of one another. And if you know anything about the covenant that the Most High made with Abraham in the book of Bereshit, the 17th chapter of circumcision, he told Abraham, your name should no longer be called Abram, but Abraham. For father of many nations have I made thee. And the first thing he told Abraham was to walk before me and be perfect. And he said, I will be a God unto thee and unto thy seed after thee. And I will give thy seed all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession. And I'm going to establish my covenant with your son Isaac, which you're going to bear through Sarah, which was the covenant, which was circumcision was a token of the everlasting covenant that he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the 12 tribes of Israel. And this is a circumcision of the flesh, not of the heart. You see, in the law, in the Torah law, all males are supposed to be circumcised in heart and flesh. Women, just their heart. But with us, the heart and flesh. And if you're not circumcised in your flesh, as an Israelite, you're not even part of the household family of the Most High. You can't even call yourself keeping the 10 Commandments. You can't call yourself keeping the dietary law. You can't call yourself keeping the laws of cleanliness if you're not circumcised, because you broke the first covenant. You went against what y'all told you to do. And as a result, somebody y'all said, hey, you're not a part of my household family. So we see here in the book of Galatians, the 2nd chapter, Paul said he received a covenant or he received a revelation of uncircumcision, that gospel. But the ironic thing about that, Israelites, the strange thing about this, and I can't get one minister in the world to call in and refute what I'm teaching. The strange thing about that, because they know what I'm saying is the absolute truth. If you go to the book of Matthew, the 10th chapter, go to Matthew, the 10th chapter. Look at this. And Paul said he went unto the heathen, the Gentiles. Now look at this. If you go through the Matthew, the 10th chapter, and just what he says in Matthew, the 10th chapter, the 5th and 6th verse. Now this is what the Christ in the New Testament is saying, who they call Yahushua. And look what he said. He said, these 12 did Christ send forth and commanded them, saying, go not in the way of the Gentiles, nor to any of the cities of the Samaritans, where the Gentiles resort, where they live. And these Gentiles were not Israelites, people. You got Israelites teaching that these Gentiles were Israelites. Well, we're going to see if that's true. But look what Christ told his disciples. He told them, don't go to the Gentiles. So he's let me know. And he's supposed to be the Messiah of the New Testament. Why would he tell his disciples not to go to Israelites? Does that make sense? If these Gentiles were truly Israelites, as many of the brothers from IUIC teach, and GOCC, and GOMS, and all these other 2 book accounts teach, most of them, that the Gentiles, you got the northern kingdom, you got the southern kingdom. And just like today, our people retain to themselves as Gentiles, but they really Israelites. But right here, these Gentiles were not Israelites at all. And Christ said, don't go to these Gentiles. He said, but go ye rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, because this is who I was sent to. Christ said, I wasn't sent to no Gentiles. I was only sent to Israelites because I am a black Israelite. So we see that something's wrong here. But Paul said he received a revelation from Yeshua or Yahushua to go to the Gentiles. He had a whole different message, a message that contradicted the Christ of the New Testament and his message towards his disciples. Hello? Now, just with that little bit I done brought out, who want to call in and say that I'm wrong? That I'm reading something wrong? And it don't say that. Because I'm using your book, my New Testament brothers and sisters. I ain't even using the so-called Old Testament. I'm using your New Testament to wake you up out of your state of darkness. Then we go to the book of Romans, the 15th chapter. And this why I don't know any black Christian church that teach circumcision of the flesh. They all teach it of the heart. They all teach a faith faith-based doctrine. These churches don't teach you gotta how it works. You don't need works at all if you're a Christian. All you got to do is believe in the Christ of the New Testament, that he died for your sins and you shall be saved. That's what it says in the book, according to Paul. And that's why the ministers gravitate to the words of Paul. Paul is he's actually the God of the New Testament. He's actually the Savior. Because they quote Paul more than they do the Christ of the New Testament. But let's see what. Let's go to the book of Romans, the 15th chapter. Romans, the 15th chapter. Make it plain and simple. And when you go to Romans, the 15th chapter, look what it says in the 15th chapter of Romans, in the 8th verse. It says, now I say that Yahushua was a minister of the circumcision for the truth of God, for the truth of Yah, or Yahweh, to confirm the promises made unto the fathers. Well, what promises made unto the fathers? In the book of Bereshit. So right here it's saying he's trying to confirm the truth. Now, what was Paul doing? Teaching people not to be circumcised, that many of them say were Israelites. Now, what if they were Israelites, as you believe that they were, then why did Paul tell Israelites not to be circumcised? I need somebody to answer that question. And right here we see that the Christ of the New Testament, he's the head minister for the church of circumcision. And then we go to the book of, where was we going to go to? And dealing with circumcision and dealing with the law. Go to Galatians, the 5th chapter. Go to Galatians, the 5th chapter. And they won't dare call in here the truth or tradition. They don't want to be exposed as the liars that they are. Go to Galatians, the 5th chapter. And look what Paul says here. And you all said that Paul was a learned man. And it's hard to understand his reading. But I find his writings, his letters, epistles, because they're not scriptures. They're real easy to understand. It's not hard about understanding the Bible. The problem is we don't want to accept what's in the Bible. That's the problem. It's hard. You don't need a preacher to interpret the book to you. Just read. Just read it. It's plain and simple to understand. If you got a third grade education, you can read this and understand this book. But go to the book of Galatians, the 5th chapter. And look what it says. And this is Paul speaking. He says, stand there fast, therefore, in the liberty wherewith Christ hath made us free. Now hold up. What are you talking about us? You're supposed to be an Israelite. Paul, from the tribe of Benjamin. What you mean Christ made us free? Now we're going to see how Paul said that he made us free. And he said, and be not entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Now, what is he calling the yoke of bondage? Now, all of you going to see today that he's referring to the Torah law as a yoke of bondage, something that's going to hold you down. He letting the Muslim brother know that the Torah law is something that's going to hold y'all down. And the Quran is supposed to be the Torah law. And anybody that don't live by no laws, they living in a state of chaos. You should be living by some type of morality, laws. But Paul said, he calling something the yoke of bondage. Let's see what he's calling the yoke of bondage. He said, behold, I, Paul, say unto you, that if you be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. If you listen to Yahweh in the book of Bereshit, Christ won't profit you. Now, did Christ say that? No. Christ said he's the head minister for the church of circumcision. Now, where did Paul get this from? He got that from his own heart and mind. He got that from a strange revelation that didn't come from the Christ of the New Testament. It didn't come from Yahushua at all. And Paul said, listen what he said. Not only did he say that Christ profit these teachers nothing, and they all been circumcised that I know of. The teachers that teach from IUIC camps, the teachers that teach from GMS, the teachers that teach from GOCC, and all these other Israelite Messianic camps. I hope they circumcised. I don't know. I'm hoping they are. Because they listen to Paul, they already cut off. They already cut off. Because they ain't listen to y'all, and they ain't listen to the Christ of the New Testament. Neither one of them. And hear what he said? He said, for I testify again to every man that is circumcised, that he is a debtor to do the whole law. And we know that. That's the agreement. That's the covenant. To do the whole law. Christ is become of no effect unto you. So he's speaking about the whole law, not just the ceremony. He's talking about the whole law, the dietary law, the whole law. The laws about don't lay with no beast. The laws don't commit adultery, don't steal, don't bear false witness. The whole law. And what Israelite that don't want to live by the law? Who don't want to live by the laws of separation? Separate from your wives when she's unclean. Who don't want to live by that? Only a person that adhere to the letters or epistles of Paul. Because I believe it says in the book of Hebrews, the 13th chapter, the marriage bed is undefiled. You can do anything in a Christian marriage bed. Blood popping all over the walls in place. You absolutely anything. And that's where they get this nasty behavior from. That's what the heathens got this nasty behavior from. They say, man, the bloodier it is, the more better it feels. That's where they got that mess from. Land with beasts, land with animals. Always been of that sinful nature, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. In the hillsides of Kentucky, in West Virginia, bootlegging whiskey and land with beasts, having dogs lay in the bed with them, listening, licking and kissing on the beast. So we see where they're getting this mind state from. When you don't live by laws, you live in a state of sin. Sin in the house, sin outside the house. Good gracious almighty. And they got that from Paul, because Paul was I'm going to show you what type of man he was. You all think he loved the Most High? According to his word? According to Paul, all words, I'm going to show you that he did. He did not love the Most High at all, so-called God at all. And Paul said, Christ will become of no effect unto you. Whosoever you are justified by the law, you are fallen from grace. So he said, actually, those of us all that's justifying ourselves by, we see our brothers drop money, drop their wallet. We say, hey, hold on, you dropped this. And he said, thank you, bro. I appreciate that. He said, when we justify ourselves by doing what was right, we actually falling out of the mercy of the Most High. And the Most High don't like you giving people money, their money back. The Most High wants you to keep that money. He wants you to be a thief. It said, when we justify ourselves by the law, and we see a beautiful woman, and we approach her and want to inquire to see if she's married or single, and she tells us she's married, Paul said, don't justify yourself by the law. Keep hollering at her. He said, hey, baby, I know that, but what they got to do with me? What they got to do with me? If you're going by what Paul said. But those of us that justify the law, we're going to be just like what Joseph did. We ain't going to lay with no married women, regardless if they Israelite women or not. We're not going to do that. But Paul said, any Israelite, that just like any Muslim, anybody, period, regardless of his religious perspective, what he's into, if he's justified by himself by the law, and our houses is ran by law, I don't know. I personally don't know. Haven't met anyone yet whose house that I went in that wasn't justified by the laws of the Most High. And I got laws, I got rules that govern my house. That's not in the Torah. It's not in the Tanakh. Anybody that come in my house, because I got carpet in my house. You got to take your shoes off before you come in, because I don't want no germ stuff. You may be stepping in some dog mess outside, and you tracking that stuff in on my carpets where my children is playing on. So I don't want that. I don't want no bacteria. I'm trying to eliminate, and it's, of course, we're in a polluted land. You got stuff all in there, but I'm trying to eliminate things as much as possible. So I got rules that govern my house. You don't bring no crosses in my house. No graven images in my house. I got rules that govern my own house. You don't use no profanity in my house. You don't smoke in my house. So I got rules. Everybody got rules that govern, regulate their house. That's not in the Torah. Anybody that you work for for a business, They got rules. You got to have your pants pulled up. Some say shirts tucked in. Only people that don't want to abide by rules, common rules, courtesy rules, is an absolute fool. Absolute fool. And anytime you don't have laws and rules to govern something, you're going to have chaos, bedlam, confusion right in that house. If the Imam and the Abba don't set president in that house, the rules and regulations for their children, you don't stay out after 9 o'clock. That child gonna come in at 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock. Who's that coming in the door at 3 o'clock in the so-called morning? Where you been? Well, you ask me where I've been for. We don't got no set time to come in. So everybody got rules they should have. They govern their own house or business. But Paul said, if you justify yourself by the law of Torah, you fall out of the grace of the Most High. And if you just tuned in, I was bringing out the fact that the gospel, according to Galatians, the first chapter, that Paul said Christ gave him a revelation. According to Galatians, the first chapter, 7 to 8 verse, that was not after man. And neither was he told it by man, but by Yahushua. And Yahushua said, I don't know what Paul's talking about. I never gave a gospel of uncircumcision. I never sent my disciples to the heathen. I told my disciples, don't even go to the Gentiles, y'all. Don't even go to them. So what Paul doing? If Yahushua said, I come to confirm the truth of my God that I told y'all to worship. Because I never told you to worship me. Now you going by Paul, right? He said, worship me. Now who y'all gonna believe? Because you don't believe Yah. You don't believe Yahweh, Yahuwah, Yahweh. So who you gonna believe? Are you gonna even believe Yahushua of the New Testament? He said he come to confirm the law. He come to bring the law into being. But Paul said, if you are circumcised, he said, Yahushua profits you nothing, and you are falling out of the mercies of Yah. Good gracious Almighty. And this is what is taught in the churches every Sunday. Paul's epistles, Paul's letters, most of the books of the New Testament canon is Paul's writings. And some of the disciples don't have no books in the New Testament. Some just have one or maybe two, but most of them don't have none. And Paul was not a follower of Christ. After you read this stuff, now let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians. Go to 1 Corinthians. Leaving Galatians, the 5th chapter, and let's go to 1 Corinthians. And y'all got any questions? Call in and ask me. Call in 513-377-5815 because I'm far away from the computer. I can't see your questions. So I want to hear your lovely voice. So question me while I'm live on air. We'll go to 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. And we're going to start reading at the 18th verse of 1 Corinthians chapter 7. And it says, is any man called being circumcised? Let him not become uncircumcised. Now, I don't know what they do to do that. I don't know any man that's circumcised that he could become uncircumcised. But Paul knew something that I didn't know, evidently. He said, is any called in uncircumcision? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing. Are y'all reading this? He says circumcision of the mighty Yahweh, Yahuwah, is nothing at all. And uncircumcision is nothing. But the keeping of the commandments of God, they ain't nothing. Because I don't believe Paul didn't believe in keeping of the commandments of the Most High. He only did it when he was afraid to, when the other Jews was around him in his quarters. Then when he got scared to start circumcising people. Because they came at him. They said, hey man, what you teaching that the Jews not to adhere to the law of Moses in the book of Acts? And they come to admonish Paul for teaching people not to keep the law. So they told him to take a vow of a Nazarite. And that's what he did in the book of Acts, the 21st chapter. But he didn't want to, he wouldn't have, if they wouldn't got on his case. Well, here this man said, circumcision is nothing. No, let's see what Yah said. Not only do we know what he said to Abraham, and he said, Abraham is my friend. And Abraham had 300 trained servants in his house, warriors, big bucks. You think they could have told Abraham, I ain't doing what you talking about? We already old, and you talk about cutting on us with some rock? Are you serious, brother? And everyone said, yes, I'm very serious. I'm 99 years old and I'm gonna get circumcised. And I'm gonna circumcise my son Ishmael. And I'm gonna circumcise my son Isaac. And y'all big bucks, all 300 of you, because you are sojourning in my house. You are brought with my money, born in my house. And there's one law for me and for the strangers that dwelleth amongst Israelites. Not two different laws. Yeah, I only have one ordinance and one law for the stranger and for Israel. But if you're going by the New Testament, you got two different laws. You got one for the Gentiles and one for the Israelites. And these Israelites, that's why I wish you could get an IUIC teacher to call in. Get a GMS, a GOCC teacher to call in. Get any New Testament teacher to call in that believes that the Gentiles were Israelites. Get them. Call them up. They're not going to do it, y'all. They're not going to do it. Because they know what I'm teaching is the truth. And the people in their camps is afraid to question them because they're gonna be thrown out or they're gonna be called scorners. And who you been listening? You've been listening to that Yoel, ain't you? I told y'all to stop listening to him. He's confusing y'all. He got y'all minds all messed up. Now, anytime y'all bring it up again, we're gonna kick y'all out. So they get threatened. They get afraid. They're gonna be called scorners and this, that, and the other. Because I done been around a lot. I done been around Israel. And I know how things work and go. When you get to question ministers, then people get to look at you crazy. Like, who you think you is? I just got a question. What you teaching don't make sense. Can you help me to understand it? Because what I'm reading is not what you're saying. And they want to make you believe that what you're reading, you really ain't reading. That you really can't comprehend what you're reading. Like I said, this book is easy to understand. But let's go to the book of Ezekiel. Let's go to Ezekiel, see what y'all say. We know what he told Abraham. Let's go to Ezekiel, the 44th chapter, and see what he said in Ezekiel to the prophet Ezekiel in the 44th chapter. And later on, we're going to deal with Isaiah, the 53rd chapter. But we're dealing right now with the Pauline doctrine. Go to Ezekiel, the 44th chapter. And let's see what he says here. Ezekiel chapter 44. We're going to start at verse number 6. It says, thou shalt say to the rebellious, thou shalt say to Paul, in other words, and everybody that want to follow Paul, even to the house of Israel. Thus saith Yah, Elohim, O ye house of Israel, let it suffice you of all your abomination. And one of my Muslim brothers said the reason why the black prophets was killed, because of y'all rebellious Israelites, and he was 100% correct, my Muslim brother. Because we the ones that killed our own black prophets. On black Israelites. See, I don't got to hide the truth. I don't cover the truth when I teach. Black men was murdered by other they weren't murdered by black men. They was murdered by sons of Belial. Because no black man would take a murder another black man. That's not what a black man is. But a son of Belial will. A rebellious son of Belial, as they doing today. They will quickly take a black woman's life. Even though they don't even care how old the child is. They just say, hey, that's just collateral damage. That's all. They shouldn't have been there. But these are sons of Belial. And look what he said. He said, verse 7, and that ye have brought into my sanctuary strangers, uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh, to be in my sanctuary. When ye offer my bread, the fat of the blood, that they have broken my covenant because of all your abomination. Now you cause them to break y'all's covenant because y'all supposed to be the leaders of the nation. You supposed to be the ones that teaching the nation righteousness, what's right and what's wrong. And then he said, and ye have not kept the charge of my holy things, but ye have set keepers of my charge and my sanctuary for yourselves. Thus saith Yah Elohim, no stranger, verse 9, Ezekiel chapter 44, uncircumcised in heart, nor uncircumcised in flesh shall be in my sanctuary, shall even enter into my sanctuary of any stranger that is amongst the children of Israel. So this like Yah wanted us to bring people in that's uncircumcised, listen to Paul. But that's what Creflo Dollar them do. Christian ministers ain't worried about who's circumcised in the flesh. That's why they don't teach that. As I said, they all teach circumcision of the heart. Every black Christian church that I know of. Because Christianity is not a works doctrine. doctrine. It's a faith doctrine. All I have to do, if I'm tired of keeping Torah law, is say, man, I'm about to become Christian. I'm about to join Southern Baptist. And all I have to do is believe in Christ and get baptized, and I shall be saved. That's all. I don't have to display no works according to Paul. Now, if I went by what James said faith without works is dead. Show me your faith by your works. Because everybody said they got faith in God. They believe in the Most High. But where your works at? And that's why I said it's one thing to believe something. And everybody believe. Even the New Testament said the devil believe. Everybody believe in something. Comedic brothers and sisters, they believe. They don't acknowledge the Creator, but they believe in something. They got faith. They got faith in their mother is their mother. But can they prove it by fact without DNA? No. They just believe that. Because she raised them. That's the only woman that they knew that they was calling Ema. Mama. But can they prove it with fact without DNA? No. They believe it. That could be their aunt. They could be adopted. It never was told. So there's a lot of things that we believe to be true, but it don't mean that it is true. And see, I love dealing with facts. And when you're dealing with facts, they got to be backed up by the laws of the Most High or by nature. Because nature, Naturu, will never lie to you. Nature won't. Nature will tell you when the day begins and when the day ends. Nature will show you that everything multiplies after its own kind except the Negro, except man himself. Don't want to multiply after his own kind. Nature will teach you the male lion is attracted to the female lioness. No two male lions getting together. Ain't no two lionesses getting together. Opposites attract. And y'all be crazy, he said he made man and woman to procreate. And you can only procreate with a man, with two man and woman. Can't two men procreate nothing, make nothing. So y'all laws is consistent with nature. And that's how I know what truth is. Once I'm talking to somebody, whether it's another Israelite, Kemetic, New Testament, brother or sister, I engage it by the law and by nature. In Ezekiel 44th chapter, y'all showing all Israel that if you're not circumcised, you listen to Paul, you is cut off. You can call yourself having Christ all you want to. Even Christ said he don't know you. You didn't do the will of his Father. According to Christ, he said he came to do the will of his Father. And we're going to go by the New Testament. And the Father sent him. Now, the will of the Father, you got to read the Old Testament and know the laws. And Christ said, matter of fact, he was circumcised. And he said, I'm the head minister for the church of circumcision. And Peter is my head disciple. That's why Yahushua said he gave Peter the keys to the kingdom of heaven to let in and keep out who he will. Not Paul, but Peter. Peter. So now we read that in Ezekiel 44 chapter. Let's get back to the New Testament because we're dealing with the Pauline doctrine. And let's go to the book of, let's go to Romans, the 7th chapter, to show you what type of man this was. Romans chapter 7. And in the New Testament, because y'all my family, those that are here to the New Testament, I'm not, trust me, I'm not mad at y'all. Well, when I get mad, I know I got the truth. I know I'm in the truth. And I know I teach truth. And when you know you're right, well, I don't need to get mad for. It's only people that know they're wrong. They get mad, they get frustrated, they get angry, they start cussing me out and saying this instead of calling in and having a dialogue before the public, before the world. They just say, well, I'm just going to cuss him out. I'm just going to get frustrated and tell him this and tell him he ain't this and he ain't that. Well, we can't make this personal. We can't never make discussing the words of the Most High. And there's nothing beautiful than discussing the word of the Most High. We can be killing each other out here in the streets and doing a lot of things. So I love to discuss the words of the Most High. I love to be questioned on what I teach. Because what I teach is based on solid foundation. Because I was taught by men that taught me and laid the foundation through the word of the Most High. His word is foundation. And any house you build, if the foundation is weak, it's only doomed to fall. And all the houses is going to fall. The house of Southern Baptist in New Hope, the Seventh-day Adventist, the Christian Science, the houses of God in Chicago, the Nation of Islam, all those houses are going to fall because the foundation is not stable. It was built on lies. And a lie is only for a moment, but truth endures forever. So we go to the book of Romans, the 7th chapter, and we're going to start reading the verse number 14. And this is Paul. He said, for we know that the law is what? The law is spiritual. And yes, the law is spiritual, given to awaken a dead people who got the Ruach, but they don't have the Holy Ruach. They don't have the Ruach, the HaKodesh. They don't have the Holy Ruach, but they got Ruach, they got the Spirit, the air, wind, breath, life. But that's why David said in the Psalms, I believe 51, he said, I pray, yeah, take not the Holy Spirit from me. Because when he takes his Holy Spirit from you, you start walking backwards. You start talking backwards. You start hanging up your fringes and saying, I'm done with this Israelite stuff. It's too hard. I can't do it. And you got to be a spiritual man to walk with Yah. You got to be a spiritual woman to walk with the Most High. And everything that Yah says, you better be in total agreement with it, whether we like it or not. You might not like it. You might read something like, oh, really? Kill all the things that breathe, men, women, and children, and dogs and cats. You might not like it, but say, well, but you better do it if he instructs you. Because it was a man that did it, that didn't do it, called Saul. And y'all know what happened with Saul. Y'all tell him, I want you to kill everything that breathes. Because they was in wartime with their enemies. And you don't, when you're dealing with certain your enemies, you don't need nothing that breathes. You don't need nothing alive. You don't want nobody coming back and retaliating. So y'all said, hey, I want you to kill everything that breathes. And in the case of these nations at that time, we were serving their gods. We were worshiping their gods. And y'all said, you destroy their altars, break down their graven images, destroy and burn them with fire, and kill everything that breathes. Because all them want something being left behind where they say, well, where this cow come from? With a little bell on it. They coming in the Israelite cow. And the people look and say, let me think. Oh, that's the god of the Canaanites. That's the animal. See the little bell on it? And the little head on it, figurine? Yeah, that's the Canaanite deity. And they serve a god called this. Oh, that's the Egyptian deity. And they serve a god. So that's what y'all said, kill everything that breathes. Don't leave nothing. Because it's a violation of Torah law for us to even make mention of the names of these other gods. But when we do, we give them power. We bring them back to life. And Jesus is not the name of any Israelite brother. And my brother, if he existed, if he lived, his name was Yehoshua. Or somebody Israelite pronounce his name Yahawashah, if he lived. But no man walked the earth by the name of Jesus. That came from Zeus. That's Greek. Greco, that's Greek. But nevertheless, we go to Romans the 7th chapter. We in Romans chapter 7, verse 14. He said, for we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, says Paul. Paul said, I'm not a spiritual man. And y'all read my letters, my epistles. He said, I done already sold my life to Satan. I done sold my life to sin. I done sold it away, y'all. Are we reading this? And look what he says. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. For what I hate, that I do. Now, what did Paul say he hate? Homosexuality, lying. You name it. He said many things that he hated. But those are the things, hated stealing. But those is the things that he did. That he did. And then he said, if then I do that which is good, would not, I consent unto the law that it is good. Yeah, we all know the law is good. And it is holy. He said, now then, it is no more I that do it, but the sin that dwelleth in me. For I know that in me, that in my flesh dwelleth no good thing. For the will is present with me. But how to perform that which is good, I find not. And y'all talking about this was a spiritual man? And he said out of his own mouth, he's carnal. He don't even know how to do that which is good. Now, why didn't he? He had the Torah. All he got to do is meditate in it, just read it, study it. And he said, verse number 20 of Romans chapter 7. Now, if I do that, I would not. It is no more that I do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil is present with me. For I delight in the law of God after the inward man. But I see another law in my members, warring against the law of my mind, and bringing me into captivity to the law of sin which is in my members. In other words, he's seen what he wanted to do, and then he's seen the law of Yah. It's almost like the cartoon, the Flintstones. You got one little devil with a porch pick on this shoulder and an angel on this shoulder talking to Fred Flintstone. And one saying, you do this. And I was saying, boy, Fred, boy, you do this. And then what Paul he was going through. He was warring in his mind like many of you all do. Anytime you over your relative's house and they got that pork on that grill, and you just came into the knowledge of the Israelite that it's forbidden by law to eat swine, and you just love that bacon, you love them pork chops, and your aunt just got them sizzling on that grill, and you can smell it, and you at war with yourself. What if I just take a little piece? It won't hurt. I just eat a little piece, but now then I go back to start keeping the law. Will nobody know but me? Yeah, but y'all saw you. He knew. He knew you warring, you struggling, you fighting. Just let it go. Let Yah in. Open up the gates, oh sons and daughters of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Open up the doors and let the King of glory come in. And who is this King of glory? Yahweh, mighty, strong, in battle. Open up the gates and doors and let the King of glory come in and shine. Let your light shine. Shine on, brothers. Shine on, sisters. That's why Isaiah the 60th chapter said, arise, shine, for thy light is come. The law is here now. The servants of Yah is letting the world know that we Israel and we people of the light, not people of the darkness. We are the people of the books that your book speaks about, that all people got to come to us if they want to be saved. They got to come to us. They can't go around us. They got to come with us. Everybody, Koreans, Japanese, European, you name it. They got to come through us. They can't curse us. They better be blessing us. They better be trying to bless us, but Paul was struggling to live with this. Look what he said in the book of Romans, the 8th chapter. In Romans, the 8th chapter, the 5th verse, he says, for they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit. So if you're going to be fleshly, you're going to be spiritual. Which one? You're going to be like Paul or you're going to be like Abraham? Which one? He said, for to be carnally minded is death. Now hold up. Paul just said in Romans, the 7th chapter, let me turn there, and verse number 14, he said he is carnal minded, sold unto sin. And then you're reading in Romans, the 8th chapter, verse 6, he said, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. And they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit. For verse 6, Romans chapter 8, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace, because the carnal mind hates God. It is enmity against God. The carnal mind. The carnal mind reading Leviticus, that died. They say, ooh, that's too much. I can't have my shrimp, my seafood night. Oh, no. You know we've made plans to go to Red Lobster. We can't go now. No seafood. No. Baby, hey, I love you, but hey, that Israelite stuff ain't for me. So now you got a guy. The man said, yes, that's the truth. The wife said, nah, baby, hey, I'm still going to Southern Baptist. Now you got few to get going. Now she's bucking. She's bucking. He said, no, get them pork chops out, get that bacon out, get that catfish out the refrigerator. We throwing this stuff away. She said, we throwing it away. We're gonna get that. If we throw it away, let's give it to mama. So she wanted to give it to mama. She wanted to give it to the other Israelites to eat. Because she don't want it to go to waste. And that's why carnal mind people think. That's why you know your mind ain't right. Your spirit ain't right. As you listen to Paul. And Paul said the carnal mind hates God. Did you know how many people in the world hate the Most High? That hate the God of Israel? Millions. Billions, not billions of people. That's why they call this the Old Testament. They don't want nothing to do with no Old Testament. No angry God, killing people, having people stoned to death for committing adultery, having people stoned to death for committing idolatry. No, we want a God of love. We want a God like Christ. Well, when a woman was caught in adultery, he said, hey, let him without sin cast the first stone. I'm not about to cast no stone, and I'm a son of God. But y'all said if he pronounce judgment, the law, if he don't intervene, you better throw them stones. You better carry out that law. Do what he said do. Then we said if we when we was on our own land, we have to execute that law. And right here he said, Paul said the carnal mind hates God. So now you know what you're dealing with, what you got here. So that's why you know why you understand I don't accept Paul's letters, Paul's epistles. It's not scriptures to begin with. And the New Testament canon was first established by a man called Marcion. And you can look this up. Marcion. Marcion and the New Testament. And when you're dealing with the Piso family, Marcion and the New Testament. And he had the first New Testament canon, folks, before the Catholic Church, how they came. Because you already had New Testament letters or epistles out there. But he the one that formulated and got into what they call a canon, closed fixed scriptures, a book. And he took the epistles, the letters of Paul, because he felt Paul was the only authoritative person at that time in history. And Marcion had a church called the Marcionite Church. And the historians spoke about Marcion, Tertullian, Eusebius, Origen, and he was known as the son of Satan. And he was called the son of Satan because he hated Yahweh. And he found Paul's writings to be in harmony with his thought process because he hated the God of the Old Testament. He didn't want to keep Torah law. So this is how you got Paul's most of his books in the New Testament. And then let's go to the book of, let's go to 1 Corinthians. Let's go to the ninth chapter, just show you the type of man Paul was. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. 1 Corinthians chapter 9. Let's see what type of man Paul was. In 1 Corinthians, the 9th chapter. And we're going to read the 22nd verse. He said, we're going to start at verse 20 or 19. He said, no, we're going to start at verse 18. Oh my goodness. In 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 18, he said, what is my reward then? Verily, that when I preach the gospel, I'll make the gospel of Christ without charge. He said, I'll make the gospel without charge, that I abuse not my power in the gospel. Now remember this, what he said. He said, for though I be free from all men, yet have I made myself servant unto all, that I might gain the more. And unto the Jews became I as a Jew. Now how are you going to become a Jew and he's already an Israelite, folks? Do that make sense? How are you going to become a Benjamin? He's already from the tribe of Benjamin. But nevertheless, he said that I may gain the Jews. To them that are under the law, as under the law, that I may gain them that are under the law. To them that are without law, that I might gain them that are without law. To the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. Now, why would you become weak? The Creator said, be strong and very courageous, that you may keep the law. He never instructed a prophet to become weak to bring people in. How can a weak person bring anybody in? You want strong people around you. You don't want no weak people around you. You want strong men and women. And then he said, to the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. I am made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some. Look at this. This is a chameleon. You can't trust him. You become all things to all men, that you might win some. Are you serious, Paul? Good gracious almighty. But this is your Pauline doctrine. This is your New Testament. Then we go to the book of, go to 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter. 2 Corinthians chapter 11. And I want y'all to call in. Call in 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter. 513-377-5815. Then we go to 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter. Let's see what we got here. In 2 Corinthians chapter 11, and we're going to read verse 8. Verse 7, he said, have I committed an offense in abusing myself, that ye might be exalted, because I have preached to you the gospel of God freely? And then look what he said. He said, I have robbed other churches, like Creflo, T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen, taking wages of them to do you service. And there's not one Christian church that is authorized to collect tithes. Not one. That's not how the church was built. That's not how the early church was founded. The early church was founded on giving all that you have to the poor, because they live in a communism society. No one had more than the other one, according to the New Testament. So why do Creflo them got more than you? Why do your preachers, the church that you attend, got more than you? And you poor. You going to go through the ghetto with roaches and rats, bottles all in the alleyway, in the ghettos, and poverty everywhere. And they going back to Beverly Hills in a billion-dollar mansion with their Rolls Royce that they done got off your tithes, with that Bentley and Mercedes that done got off your tithes. And you going back rat-infested, drug-infested communities, impoverished, oppressed. You a widow, you giving them your tithes. You oppressed. Don't know when you waiting on your stimulus check. They say, when you get that stimulus check, you better make sure you send God a tenth. No. In other words, they want to tell you, you make sure you send them a tenth. Because they want that gravy train grease. They want to keep them pockets greased. And the black churches bring in billions of dollars a year. Not millions. The black churches throughout the United States bring in billions. So you know this COVID-19 has really hit them in a pocket. It's really hit them in a pocket. But they want your bank account information. They want all of that stuff. Because they want that, like I said, that gravy train to be filled, because they got it from Paul. Well, they read what Paul said, he robbed churches. And you don't muzzle the ox that treaded out the corn. And they quote New Testament passages, let you know, hey, you better, Creflo Dollar told his congregation he wanted a jet. He wanted a jet. Now here's a man that goes to a mansion with gold toilet seats, marble floors, marble countertops, 7 to 8 bathrooms in the house. And you got one house, one little shack, one little breaking down toilet, that handle is broke on it. It only flushes every now and then. And you can barely put food on the table for your family. And you're giving the church all your money. You're giving a lying ambassador of Satan your money. When y'all gonna wake up? Are you ever gonna wake up? Who gonna call in and tell me what I'm teaching is a lie? Tell me what I'm saying is not true. Let the world know what I'm saying is not true. Y'all know it's true. And it's called pimp game that goes on in the church today. And Paul was the biggest pimp. That's where they learned it from. Pimp game from, they got it from Paul. And all it is a man with a DD degree, a dumb dog degree, get in front of people and giving them a feel-good lesson, a feel-good story. That's all that's happening in the church. And Paul said he robbed other churches. See, I told y'all, that's what he said, the things that I hate, those are the things that I do. And you just read in 1 Corinthians, the 9th chapter, where he said he's supposed to be preaching the gospel of God freely. Buy the truth and sell it not. But the critics said, these people are hirelings. And you start paying these big time preachers, these ministers a salary, you won't see them no more. They have to bring in another preacher from out of state to start preaching you lies. And the bad thing about this all, the sad thing about it all is the creator said our people love to have it so. We love to hear lies. They don't want to hear nobody like me. That's why I get cut off so much. They want the preachers, the Israelite ministers, the Islamic ministers, the Farrakhan's and all of them that teach lies. That's why they get millions of people that listen to them. And the lights go through the roof, millions. Because the creator said, Solomon said, a poor man's wisdom is despised. They want to listen to little Yoel. Who's Yoel? Who's that guy? Who's this little guy? He ain't talking about nothing. He don't got nothing. Look at him. Yeah, they say that. But they scared as hell when they got to deal with me. And I got something that they don't got. And that's the Most High. That's Yahweh. That's Almighty Yahuwah. Because what they got is monetarily gained. And that's going to be taken away within the coming months. There will be no basketballs and football season and baseball seasons. All that stuff going to be taken away. And these entertainers that got all this money and stuff, in these bank accounts, that dollar ain't gonna be worth nothing. Because the Creator gonna humble him. He gonna bring him down. And y'all been talking, laughing against the Israelites, my elect. I'm gonna show y'all the price of wisdom. For wisdom is higher than rubies. And it cannot be gotten in the land of the living. It got to come from the Most High. And you don't know the value of wisdom until the time that you live it in today. Because people are going to die for want of wisdom. They're going to literally die because they lack wisdom and knowledge of what to do in a time, because it's a time and season for everything under the sun. It's a time when we've got to move and a time to stay still. But if you don't got the wisdom to know it, the Most High ain't with you, you be leaving before the appointed times of Yah, trusted in the man, telling him, I'm going to take y'all back home, and you get slaughtered in the streets. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Then let's go to the book. Let's go to the book we deal with. Still, let's go to the book of Romans, the 11th chapter. Romans chapter 11. Or Corinthians chapter 11, rather. 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, the 14th verse here, Paul says, does not nature is even itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame for a Nazarite to have long hair. It's a shame for these brothers with long locks. Now that's what Paul said. That's what he said. And not did he only say it's a shame for a man to have long hair. The ultimate blasphemy outside of circumcision, the ultimate statement that he made outside of him being a big thief. Look what he said in the book of 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. Look what he said here. And that's why, oh my goodness, if y'all can get one New Testament person to call in that believes Paul and his writings, one minister in the world to call in, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It'll be real, it'll be entertaining. I just say that. God, they be stumbling over their words, trying to get out of this. But go to 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. Look what he said. In verse number 25, he said, now concerning virtues, I have no commandment of the Lord, yet I give my judgment as one that hath obtained mercy of the Lord to be faithful. I suppose, therefore, that this is good for the present distress, or thou for a man so to be, or thou bound unto a wife, seek not to be loose. But he said, art thou loose from a wife, seek not a wife. And that's why the popes follow Paul. They followed the Pauline doctrine. And they didn't believe in needing a woman, needing something that was good, something that was healthy for them. They didn't believe in needing a helpmeet, somebody that rubbed their shoulders when their shoulders was. So somebody say, hey, baby, you hungry? Can I fix you something to eat? Somebody that was there would be there to support them. And even in their affliction, to comfort them. No, these popes said, no, we don't need no women. We're going by what Paul said, because Paul told us if we get married, then we're going to be thinking about how we can please our wife. Instead of worrying about how we can please the Lord, we're going to be worried about how we can please our wives. And of course, they listened to Paul. And now you got case after case after case after case of child molestation right out of the Catholic Church. The Pope's got little boys down in a little cellar room, and y'all know doing what to them. And the little boy screaming and hollering, nobody to help him. Then years come out later that Pope, Benedict Pope, this Pope raped them. That Pope raped them. Mother Mary raped the little girl because the nuns try to live that lifestyle too. And they get horny. They get horny. And a lot of women, they get horny. They get them little play toys to play with. Because they don't have no man. And it's all playing with themselves and everything else. Because you try to live a life that's unnatural. And the Creator said it's not good for a man to be alone. That's why he made a helpmate. It's not good for man or woman to be alone. But Paul said it is good. And if you're a brother, and I don't know no Israelite brothers that read this, no straight men, should I say, that read this, whether black, white, regardless of his nationality, they're going to be looking at this, talking about they don't need no woman. Then you're gonna have a woman that they're not married to having sex with, or a woman they're married, but they ain't gonna be without no woman. No man that got sense, that's in his right state of mind, is gonna be reading this and saying he don't need a wife. Because a wife, the Creator said, will be your helpmeet. Help you. And as Solomon said, two is better than one. For if one fall, he got somebody there to help him up, keep him up. And if you are alone by yourself in this land and you're going through it, wouldn't it be beautiful to have somebody else with you, helping you, trying to make them ends meet, pay them bills, sisters? Have that man there to help you, to guard and protect, to help you, your house. Of course, the money y'all is guarding, protecting the house, but he put the man over there to guard, protect the wife. You know, you don't let nobody hurt your wife, come at your wife. And the money y'all put the man there. You did. He's to protect, provide, be the leader of that house, govern that house in righteousness, not in wickedness, but in righteousness, in equity, in fairness, with just balance, just weights, and leading the house in the fear of the Most High, straight in the direction y'all all come. And if a woman is not willing to follow that man, then don't marry him. Don't get married and get to screaming and hollering about this and that. No, it's your fault. Your fault. But Paul said, don't even seek a wife. Don't even seek a wife. So did anybody want to comment on this? This is the Pauline doctrine. Anybody want to call in? Call ahead, 513-377-5815. And I had to laugh. And I don't mean to be mocking anybody by laughing, but I got to laugh to keep from crying after reading this mess. Because it's a whole book of mess that our people is caught into, going by what Paul said, as if it is the words of the Most High. And every time he spoke, he said, he speak these on permission and not by commandment. The Father ain't commanded him to say nothing, because the Father don't even speak in the New Testament. Don't speak to Christ, don't speak to Paul, don't speak to nobody. Absolutely none in the New Testament. And Paul got a nerve to say, he said he think his judgment is better than the Most High. Let me show you that. In the same book, he said he think his judgment is better than the Most High. We're going to read. We're going to start at 1 Corinthians. We're in 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. Let's read this. In verse 32, he said, but I would have, verse 32 of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, he said, but I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried, care for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. Says who? Who make you the authority? Paul? And talking about that Abraham he would care about his wife, Sarah, more than he did Yah. He showed that he cared about Yah more than he did anybody. When Yah told him to take his son Isaac to sacrifice to him. This is a man that ordered his house after Yah. But he that is married, care for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. There is a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman cares for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy, both in body and in spirit. But she that is married cares for the things of the world. So Paul is telling all married people that y'all caring about things of the world. Y'all worldly. Y'all ain't thinking about pleasing the Lord, pleasing Yah. This is what Paul is saying. So Moses, he cared about his wives more than he did Yah. Job, I believe Job told his own wife, you speak like one of the foolish women speak. Want me to curse the Most High and die. Did that like Job was caring about his wife more than he did Yah? And he knew that his affliction that he was going through. And he said, shall we not receive only good from the hand of the Most High? Shall we not also receive evil? And Paul said in verse 35, and this I speak for your own profit, not that I may cast snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. But if any man think that he behave himself uncomely to his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, and need no require, let him do what he will. He said him not, let them marry. Nevertheless, he that standing steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but have power over his own will, and have so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin doth well. In other words, he keep his virgin a virgin. Don't give her off to a husband, because she's gonna start caring for her husband more than she do the Most High. So Paul said he want everybody to obtain after his judgment. Watch this. Verse 38. So then he that giveth her in marriage doth well, but he that giveth her not in marriage does better. Look at this. He that giveth her not in marriage does better. This is the New Testament, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 38. Call these two bookers. Tell them to explain this. Straighten me out. Any one of them in the world. Straighten me out. Tell me it's a brother on live. He's on YouTube. And he's calling out all of y'all. He's defying y'all. He said, man, y'all don't got nothing. Y'all ain't working with nothing. And he said, don't none of y'all deserve to be teaching. Y'all all teaching lies. Y'all servants of hell, sent by Satan himself. And he's defying all of y'all ministers, all y'all Christian ministers, all y'all Israelite ministers. And he's saying that all of y'all is scared to challenge him and what he's saying, what he's teaching. And he's saying he's bold as a lion. And y'all is cats. Right up in the corner, telling us, like cats. And he's like a lion. Just, where they at? Where they at? And they all running from him. All the ministers, they running. And they should be running with their tail between their legs. Anytime you teach your lies, anytime you're taking the words of Paul, trying to put them over the words of the Most High. And look what he said. The wife in verse 39 is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. But she is happier if she so abide after my judgment. And I think also that I have the Spirit of God. Now, after reading this, he talking about the Spirit. He think he got the Spirit of God, and he said out of his own mouth he's carnal, and that the carnal mind hates God. Now, how he's gonna come back and talk about he think he got the Spirit of God, and he's still teaching for money. He's telling people not to be circumcised. How in the hell he got the Spirit of God? Explain that to me. I dare any of y'all to call in. You notice, all I'm hearing is outside is the crickets. Let me listen. Yeah, crickets. All I'm hearing by a phone line is crickets. Silence. Yeah, you do right to stay silent, to keep your mouth shut, because you open it up and try to defend what Paul said. I'm going to show you in the world, you're going to be exposed to the world as a big, this is the food. He was a sacrifice today. Yeah, y'all got a sacrifice, and he often will drag one of them out their holes and try to challenge what I teach, and they'll be the sacrifice for the world. They'll be the sacrifice for all Israel, for all Israel. So if anybody don't have any comments concerning the Pauline doctrine, I'll give you time to call in, to make your comment. And if not, we move to Isaiah, the 53rd chapter. Before I'm gonna wait 5 minutes, I'm gonna give you time to digest, give you 3 minutes to digest that, the Pauline doctrine. And that wasn't even all of it. That was just a shell of it. But I'm gonna give y'all time, 3 minutes, digest it. Digest what I just went over. If you got any questions on what I just went over, call me. Like I said, I'm away from the computer. I can't see. If y'all got questions, I can't see. So I need y'all to call in, 513-377-5815. And just ask me your question. I'll be nice. I'll be very polite. Call in. But if not, let's move on. You know one is called in. Let's move on. Let's deal with Isaiah the 53rd chapter. Let's turn there. Everybody get their books? Let's go to Isaiah the 53rd chapter. The scroll of Isaiah. Isaiah 53. And one thing you must understand, anytime you study in Hebraic thought, Hebraic language, our people did not hide in their writings chapters. It wasn't no Isaiah 53, 54, chapter 55, 56, chapter 57. We had the whole scroll of Isaiah. It was one book. So if you want to learn about who the servant is in the scroll of Isaiah, you got to study the whole scroll. I just can't look at one chapter or two chapters because it might not be there. It might not say it. So I got to study the whole scroll to find out who the servant is, who the witness is. When you're dealing with prophecy and when you're dealing with delicate things of this nature and what has happened. You see, our people have been taken to the back of the book and they became backwards. And Christ has made everything in the back of the book. He's made him Lord. He's made God, not from him, but from Paul. He's made the Savior of the world. The people is told that every knee shall bow to him. He has made God's only begotten Son. He has made everything. He replaced Yah and he replaced the Israelites for the world to worship. So as a result, when they became backwards and you attempt to now go to the foundation of things, and you're reading in the front of the book, in Bereshit, and you're reading where it says, let us make man. Your mind almighty goes to Christ. When you read in Proverbs 8, chapter verse 20, who possessed, it say, y'all possessed me in the beginning of the way. Who is that? That's Christ. And every passage that they don't know, Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, a virgin shall bear a son and shall call his name man. See, that's Christ. Isaiah chapter 9 and 6, a child shall be born, the everlasting Father. See, that's Christ. Because he was made all things in the New Testament. But when you study the Torah, if you study that first and study it from a Hebraic perspective, from Hebrew language, you would know there's nowhere this is talking about the Christ in the New Testament. Not one place at all in all of the book. Not one. That's why you would never find his name mentioned in the book. Not at all. Nowhere in the scroll of Isaiah. And I asked one brother, I said, just show me one place where his name is mentioned in the scroll of Isaiah. And then a brother mentioned, he said, well, I can't do it. I admit, I can't do that. But he didn't accept what I was telling him, that it was speaking about Israel. And I was showing him that he did say Israel. And he still didn't want to accept it. They still don't want to accept through the mouth of the Creator who he said is his Messiah. He said David, out of the mouth of 4 different prophets. But they want me to break down the book of Daniel, the 9th chapter. They're talking about a Messiah. That Messiah is not talking about Christ. Not talking about the Christ of the New Testament at all. But they don't want to accept the fact that it's David. And they want to look for a no-name Messiah. They want to look for a no-name Savior. That the Creator never spoke one mumbling word out of his mouth. So let's deal with the scroll of Isaiah. And I'm going to deal with the scroll, the whole scroll. And not only the scroll of Isaiah, I'm going to deal with the books of the Tanakh, of the prophets. Let's go first to what they call the 52nd chapter, because it don't start in the so-called 53rd chapter. So let's start in so-called chapter 52 of the scroll of Isaiah, verse 13. He said, behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. Now, first thing we got to ask ourselves as Israelite students and teachers, and be honest, who in the entire scroll of Isaiah did the Creator call his servant? I'm here live on air. I give any man living or any woman or any child. And if y'all open up the mouth for the beast can call in $5,000. If they can show me one scripture where you can show me where his servant is called Yahushua. Or you can use the word Yeshua. Or you can use the word Jesus. Or you can use the word Emmanuel. Show me where he said his servant name is Emmanuel. Jesus, Christ, Yeshua, Yahweh. Show me that. Because all you see right here, it just say, behold my servant. So just reading this, we don't know who he's talking about. We can only allege and assume who he's talking about. But I'm going to show the world exactly who he said is his servant before we go any farther, because that foundation must be laid in order for you to have understanding. Because the book says wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get ye wisdom. But with all you're getting, let's get some understanding of what we read. And y'all said he teach line upon line, doctrine upon doctrine, precept upon precept, here a little and there a little. And I'm going to go line upon line. I'm going to go doctrine upon doctrine. I'm going to go precept upon precept. I'm going to go here a little and there a little and establish the fact on who Yah said his servant is. Praise the King. Praise the mighty Yah. Yahweh. Praise the mighty Yahuwah. It's going to get done today here on Truth or Tradition if you never heard it from me before. So let's go to the book of, let's go to the scroll chapter of Isaiah, the 41st chapter. Isaiah chapter 41, the 41st chapter of Isaiah. And here it says in Isaiah 41, the 8th verse, it said, but thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend, the seed of Abraham, the children of Israel, the 12 tribes that was birthed from 4 different women. This is what we call his servant, Israel, his servant. He said, you my servant. Then let's go to Isaiah chapter 45. Isaiah 45. Because this is one scroll. One scroll. So I'm showing you different passages in the scroll. Now let's go to what they call Isaiah the 45th chapter. And let's read verse 4. He said, for Jacob, my servant's sake, for Yaakov, my servant's sake. And he used Jacob and Israel interchangeably. When you're dealing with prophecy, when y'all speak, and Yaakov, his servant, or Israel, because Yaakov's name was changed to Israel. It's still his servant. His servant. It don't change. And then we go to Isaiah chapter 43. In the scroll of Isaiah, the book. And he says, in Isaiah the 43rd chapter, we're going to read the 10th and 11th verse. It said, ye are my witnesses, saith Yah, and my servant. Who is he speaking about? Who is he speaking about? Ye are my witnesses and my servant. Let's go to verse 1. But now thus saith Yah that created thee, O Jacob. Notice not Yahweh Shai, not Christ. Y'all looking for a savior that Yah never mentioned out of his mouth. Never spoke one mumbling word out of his mouth to anyone at any time. And right here he said, that formed thee, O Jacob, and formed thee, O Israel. Once again, interchangeable. Yaakov and Israel. And he told him to fear not. I even called thee by thy name. You belong to me. So now we understand who he's speaking about in the 10th verse of the scroll of Isaiah, the 43rd chapter. He said, ye are my witnesses. And not only are you the witness for me. And what's a witness? You're going to testify to the world that the Creator, and he's going to show you what he wants you to testify. But all Israelites cannot be a witness of the Most High. All Israelites are not a disciple of the Most High at all. And this is what he said. He said, ye are my witnesses, saith Yahuwah, and my servant. You the servant that I'm speaking about in Isaiah chapter 52 and in Isaiah chapter 53, whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me. Because I'm not a man that I should lie, nor any son of man that I shall repent. Now we got to repent. Christ had to repent for his many sins. And the Most High said, before me there was no God form. There was no these gods form. There was no Melchizedek. Wasn't no Christ. Wasn't no Gabriel. No Michael. He said, neither shall there be after me. I am the mighty Yahweh. I'm the mighty Yahuwah. And besides me there is no Savior. But we'll read this, and we want to turn to a book to witness another Savior that come to die for the sins of Israel. When the Most High had in this law, he said, no man can die for another man's sins. Absolutely no man. And no, y'all would never take a righteous man and cut his neck for a bunch of sinners, for a bunch of evil, wicked people. We got a voodoo mentality. We think the Father gonna take his son, his righteous and perfect son, and say, hey, son, come here. Come here. I need you to do a mission for me. I need to send you on a mission. I need you to go down and redeem man from his sins. I need you to die for them. They just won't act right. I gave them laws and commandments that I knew they couldn't keep. And I'm going to punish them for it for not keeping it to begin with. Do that like we talking like if the Creator is crazy. He all messed up in the head. The Creator would never take a righteous man and kill him for the sins of the wicked. Period. But I'm going to show you what he will do and what he has done. And right here he said, beside me, there is no Savior. So we see another witness. Those are three witnesses now. Let me show you another fourth witness about who he said his servant was. Go to Isaiah 49th chapter. Still in the scroll. I ain't went out the scroll of Isaiah yet. But my opponents, my adversaries, they can't go nowhere in the scroll of Isaiah and show any of you out. One place where the critic said Yeshua is his servant. The way he said Yahushua is his servant. Let's see what Isaiah 49 says. In Isaiah the 49th chapter, look what he said here. In Isaiah the 49th chapter in the scroll, he said, listen, O owls, unto me. All owls, Trinidad, Jamaica, wherever you, because I scattered my people in the islands. They everywhere. They in the four corners of the earth. So, but I want the owls to listen. Just the same owl just waiting for the law in the book of Isaiah, or the chapter, Isaiah, the 42nd chapter. Because I'm going to send Israelites to those owls. And that's my elect servant that I'm speaking about. And they still Israel. I'm still talking about Israel in the 42nd chapter of Isaiah. But right here he said, listen, O owls, unto me, and hearken ye people from far. Yah have called me from the womb. This is the servant speaking. He let the world know, let the Muslims know, let the Christians know, let the atheists, the Comedics. Yahweh have called us from the womb. From the bowels of my mother have he made mention of my name. Before we was even born, he was declaring that he has a son named Israel that's in the womb. And look what he said. And I made me a polished shaft and made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand have he hid me and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver have he hid me. And he said unto me, thou art my servant. Let's see what we're going to say. Thou art my servant. Who? Say it, Yahushua Knights. What did he say? Thou art my servant. Oh, who? Oh, Christ. Did he say that? Did he say, oh, Jesus? Did he say that? Did he say, oh, Emmanuel? Did he say that? No. He said, thou art my servant. You Negroes. You black man and woman in America. Don't let Christ take y'all glory and replace y'all. Don't let your enemies give you a hippie on a stick. But you want to paint him black. And you want to set him up as your God. But the Creator said, my servant Israel. That's who I get glory through. And I get glory through them. How? How do I get glory through them? Well, when they come forth before the people, and I bring before my people, Jacob, they're all asleep, they don't know. They know how to carry themselves. They got their zizis, they fringes. All of them not speaking the language, but they speaking the language of love. They said, let me help you, brother. You need food? Let me help you. They doing the law. You need some clothes, sister? I got clothes for you. I got clothes for your baby. Let me help you out. They feed their people. They clothe their people. And we got the righteous that's doing that right here in Cincinnati. That was on Vine Street, but they moved and they doing that. The righteous does that. Clothe, feed their people, help their people. And that's how y'all get glorified. You don't get glorified by us. By y'all calling me this and calling me that. I'm this and I'm this. We get glorified when we could come to together at the seat of brotherhood and sister and love, and we can talk together. We can edify one another and learn from one another. Like I said, I'll be waiting for sisters to call in. Because a lot of sisters out there, they shy. But they got wisdom like an Abigail. And sometimes the men need to sit back and listen. Because I'm not one on Paul. Like I ain't showed y'all all the Pauline doctrine. He said, let the women keep their mouth shut. The Creator never said that. Never spoke that. That's an abomination. How would I look telling my mother to keep her mouth shut while she's an elder in a class? I'm like a you know what fool. She'll bust me up, take her shoe off, and throw it at me like they did in the days of old. Sit your tail down somewhere. Get over there. Sit down. Sit down in the corner. We put you in timeout. Get over there. How would I look? Total disrespectful. But if you're going by the New Testament, you're going to deal with that type of disrespect. And like I said, that's why a lot, not all of them, but a lot of New Testament brothers, it's a shame for women even talk with them. Because that's the way they was taught. No respect for women at all. And the Creator said, you, Israel, you my servant, I'm going to get glorified in you. You're going to tell the world that I'm behind the COVID-19. You're going to let the world know I'm the one that send the whirlwinds and the hurricanes. I don't care nothing about the what they do with the manipulating the weather, so-called, and what they call that stuff. And I don't care about all the chemtrails that they find across. Y'all say, I'm behind all this. I'm behind the stock market falling. I'm behind all the fires. I'm behind the whirlwinds. I see in the plagues. Can there be any evil in a city? And the Creator said, I have not done it. I have not allowed it to take place. Don't y'all realize I turned the earth over into the hand of the wicked? He can't do nothing that I don't allow him to do. Satan can't do nothing that I don't allow him to do. I send Satan on the mission to do what he do. The over top of governments. Get in the hearts of men. Get in the hearts of the men of the United States and have them send they military in to overtopple governments, overthrown, send spies in. I put the spirit of Satan to train bin Laden and Saddam Hussein. I put the spirit in them to sell warfare, to sell guns and all types of armaments to Iraq and Iran and start a war between those two countries. I do so much, says the mighty Yah. I move people like puppets that's on the string. And some that don't even realize what they're doing. Like he said, I'm gonna put hooks in Russia. You think Russia gonna want to come against the United States? No. Well, y'all said, I'm gonna put hooks in there. I'm gonna put hooks in Gog and Magog. And I'm gonna bring them. And when I bring them, all the Arab nations gonna be aligned with them. Mighty Yah said to Russia, be a guardian to them, to the Arab nations. Protect them. Don't let the United States just drop bombs on these people over here. You both protect them. They paying you, Putin, billions of dollars. That's why you a billionaire. They paying you now. Your job is to protect them. You, China, y'all got y'all packed. In Iran, in all Libya, yeah, it's payback time for your wicked deeds, United States. And these nations gonna come against y'all because it's prophesied. I can't stop it. I can't do nothing about it because your wickedness done came up to the heavens. You went too far. You not only went overboard in the affliction of his chosen people, y'all say you went overboard. But not that you only go overboard. You try to clone people. You clone animals. How about our people think they eating real goat? They eating hybrids. They eating clone meat. They eating clone meat. Eating hybrids, eating GMOs. You don't even want the little insects to get a little joy, get little goodies. You spraying the plants with pesticides, killing all the insects, killing the bees, and they there to pollinate. You is the great destroyer, heathen, polluting the air with all your factories, putting a factory in a black community. Now the black youth coming out summertime with their nose running. It's not just running. No, that's right. What's your nose running for? I don't know, mama. It just started. I just came outside. And then anytime you travel outside, barely, I'm living in Cincinnati. Anytime I travel outside of Ohio, maybe go to Atlanta or wherever, and I come back here, my sinuses start acting up. They're like, this area is polluted. The water is polluted. Because we live amongst the great destroyer. And he got to make sure that he puts wine about just about everything. And he converts it with polysorbate this, polysorbate that, and this dioxide this. And we don't know what's that strange ingredient. We don't know it's filled with some type of animal byproduct in it. And as a result, we taking in all types of abominations in our bodies. So I know I'm living on borrowed time. I'm living on the mercies of Yah. I should have been dead by just by the things that I've been eating, that I think is kosher. This Jewish man, he'll put a K on something and have you think it's clean. And it got pig in it. It got pig in it. Because you need to study the Talmud. And when you study Judaism, you'll see a lot of things they doing is straight corrupt. But nevertheless, Yah said his servant is Israel, in whom I will be glorified. So that's another witness. Another witness. Then let's go back to Isaiah the 52nd chapter. Because we got through that. Who he said his servant is. Isaiah chapter 52, verse 13. He said, behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and be extolled and be very high. As many were astonished at thee, his vision was so more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So shall he sprinkle many nations, and the kings shall shut their mouths at him. For that which they had not been told them shall they see, and that which they had not been heard of shall they consider. Everybody done heard of Christ. Don't y'all realize that when it comes to these trigods, half man, half God, these saviors, born of virgin births, you have the 16 crucified world saviors before the Christ of the New Testament. That's not nothing new. That's an old concept. That's an African concept. That concept came out of Egypt. Something that concept came from the Oriental systems. When you're dealing with these different gods, everybody done heard about Christ. Nothing new. But this what he's talking about now. He said, man, that which they're gonna hear, they're gonna say, what? You mean to tell me that the African American people are the true Jews? Now Hitler knew it. Hitler knew it. And some of the hierarchy people in government, they know it. And I know Trump, he knows it. But most of your average Gentiles don't know it. That's why it's prophesied that the Creator said in the last days they shall come forth and say, our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. They've been lying to us as well. Y'all, they've been talking about this is the land or the free home of the brave, and we only seeing y'all being murdered, brutalized, choked on camera, police knees in y'all neck. We see it too. We see it. We see it now. We just thought y'all were just here just complaining about this and about everything. But we've been holding it for years. But when they find out that we are the true people, the true Israelites, God's chosen people, oh man, they're going to be shook, startled. The clan going to be like, man, we already hated the Ians and we hated the so-called Jews. That's why Hitler did what he did. And we was in agreement with it. But now the black man, he's the Jew. He's the true so-called Jew. This Ian, oh my goodness, now we really going to wage war on them. Because that which they have not heard, they hear. And they're going to hear more of it. And that which they have not seen, shall they see. But he said his vision was so more than any man. Now, what did that mean? What did it mean by that? His appearance, his form, his shape. Let me show you how the world once perceived our people and other nations, how they once looked at us. Go to the book of Judges, the 8th chapter. Judges chapter 8. Judges, the 8th chapter. And look at this. I want y'all to read this. Judges, the 8th chapter. And we're going to read verse number 8. Verse number 18, rather. In Judges, the 8th chapter. It says, then said he unto Zubah and Zalmunna. This is Gideon speaking. If you know the story of Gideon and the 300 men that went to war that lapped like a dog, Yah sent them. Because he said, I can't get glory if I send too many people. So he just sent the 300. But this is what happened. He said unto Zebah and Zalmunna, what manner of men were whom ye slew at Tabor? And they answered Gideon, they said, man, they were like you. Each one resembled the children of a king. They was royal. They resembled the children of a king. They resembled when the queen of Sheba came to see Solomon. And she heard all his wisdom, seeing their apparel, seeing their ministers, and the way they went up by accent, see why he spoke and did things. That she saw it was no more spirit left in her. She was in total. She said, man, I heard the report of the greatness and of thy wisdom of the kingdom of Yah. And the kingdom of Yah is not on earth right now, y'all. So anybody talking about that they going to the kingdom of Yah, they lying to you. How can I be going to the kingdom of Yah in a stranger's land? How can I be going to the kingdom of Yah and I'm second-class citizens? The kingdom of Yah is not on earth yet. But when it is established, it's going to be established in righteousness. And all that come to the kingdom of Yah, they're going to be in awe once again. Because we're going to be in a holistic state of being. But right now, we marred. Our business is marred. We're walking around with pants hanging off the tail. Walking around here showing our nakedness. And doing all other types of things. Our business has been marred. And this is what the Creator said in the book of, we go to the book of Jeremiah. Go to the book of Jeremiah, the 12th chapter. Jeremiah chapter 12. This was the Most High said. Our business was so marred more than any man, and is formed more than the sons of men. And in the book of Jeremiah, the 12th chapter, the Creator says, in verse number 9, he said, my heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. Our appearance is as a speckled bird. And what's a speckled bird? A peacock. It's a bird of many colors. That's why you can get 5 black men and women in the same room. We all have different complexions as a result of the rape and ravage that took place in the early days of slavery, when we got off the slave ships, when we got to the breaking grounds and was raped by the Europeans, our mothers. And the children came out light complexion. They just came out mixed. So yes, a lot of us got white blood in us. It's still in us as a result of slavery. And we become that speckled bird. Some of us even like Bob Hope. You ever see a black man that like Bob Hope? Yes. Yes. You know, business is all messed up. And the Creator knew it. And he prophesied it right in the scroll of Isaiah. So let's turn back to Isaiah, the 53rd chapter. Let's continue on. Isaiah, the 53rd chapter. But everybody heard of Christ. He's in the Quran. He's called Isa. Everybody know about Christ. There's not anything that's going to startle the people in the last days. Then it says, that which they have not been told, shall they see, and that which they have not heard, shall they consider. Yes, and like I said, they're going to consider the fact that we are the children of Israel. We've been telling the truth for years. And then you go into this Isaiah 53rd chapter, and it says, who have believed our report, and to whom is the word of Yah revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root of a dry ground. He have no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. And it is. There is no beauty that we should desire him. Who's that? Who's it speaking about? It's speaking about Israel. We don't desire to be with one another, y'all. That's why Israelites cannot gather themselves together. That's why we can't not unite. Because we don't even have a desire, although we've been destroyed by our enemies, we still don't have a desire to gather ourselves together. Oh, nation not desire. And many so-called African-American people, we don't see no beauty when we look in that mirror. Because the self-esteem is so low. And when you don't know who you are, and all you looking at is an African-American that you think that you are. And you've been told from a child you ugly, cut that nappy stuff off your hair, process that stuff. You don't know what true beauty is. The Creator said he's the perfection of beauty. Said out of Zion, the perfection of beauty, Elohim Hashad. And the Most High, he only description of him is described in the book of Daniel. The 7th chapter, the 9th verse, where it said, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, And the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garments was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. But as we was coming up, and as a lot of the Muslims came up through the Nation of Islam, you had to be light complexion with straight hair. You can have no naps. Either bald head, straight hair, but no naps. And very light complexion. And then, of course, then you had the Willie Lynch syndrome that came along, pitted against the light complexion against the dark hue. And even today, I mean, when I came up, when I grew up, if you wasn't light skinned, you wasn't into it. I wasn't into you. For a female, you weren't like I wasn't into it. I wasn't into no dark skinned females, no chocolate berry women. No, I want light complexion. Because my mind was scarred. My brain was fried. I had a little Jerry curl process, little Jerry curl just, and it got long, and I was just like Michael Jackson. I had a little curl coming down the side, and all the time I do be in the mirror doing Michael Jackson. Wish I had the jacket. Just be doing, yeah, all into it. And I always remember one time I leaned back on that couch, I got back up and just I had a Jerry curl spot right on the back of that couch. Oh yes. Because my brain was fried. I was done. But once I got into knowledge like Malcolm did, and I started reading about black folks and the history of black people and getting into things, African spiritualism, African concepts, and where people came from. Then I said, oh man, black is beautiful. Because what I was portrayed and showed in movies, on TV, it was all white. And a picture is worth 1,000 words. You show a child a picture of a white God, and he's praying to it, hoping in that God's mercy, but at the same time, going to his job where he's being afflicted and oppressed at by the same man that he's praying to and look like. So that all that was psychological damaging for myself and a lot of African American black men and women. It was damaging. And Malcolm said the white man's coffee was sweeter, his donuts taste better. And hey, you're black, you stay back, you white, come along. And I'm just bringing out these examples, not to be talking about white folks, but to just bring about examples of how we've been mentally scarred as African American people, and how the self-esteem was so low coming up with many of us, not all, even had bleaching cream. You got some bleach cream, just put it on you, and it'll bleach your pigment. You start becoming lighter, like Michael Jackson did. Bleach changed his whole complexion. So these things affected us greatly. And the Creator said in chapter 53, and right now I love all my sisters. The darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Praise Yah. Brown skin, chocolate or brown caramel. Praise Yah. Light skin. Praise Yah. They come in all shapes because they are speckled bird. And they still Israel. So, hey, I take caramel, butterscotch, chocolate berry, you name it. Chocolate chip, you name it. The scroll of Isaiah, the 53rd chapter, the 3rd verse, it says, well, let me deal with this for more. The 7th verse says, he as a root out of a dry ground. He has no form, no comeliness. Now, what is that talking about? Let's go to Isaiah, the scroll, the 44th chapter. Let's go to the 44th chapter of Isaiah. He's like a root out of a dry ground. No form, no coming. We go to the scroll of Isaiah, the 40th chapter. Look what it says here. It says, yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant. Another place where it says his servant. And Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus said Yah that made thee, and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant. He's redundant. Now, why is the Most High so redundant about who his servant is? Because he want to get it into your head. It's not Christ. It's not Yahushua. It's you that I'm talking to, Israelite. It's y'all, African American black man. He said, I have chosen you, for I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and I will pour floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and thy blessings upon thy offspring, and they shall spring up as amongst the grass, as willows by the watercourses. So this is what you read about in Isaiah the 53rd chapter. He's like a root out of the dry ground. But Yah has poured his spirit as it was a form of watering the garden. And Israelites were springing up all across the nation and outside the nation, saying, I'm Yehuda ben Israel. I'm Jeremiah ben Israel. I'm this Israel. I'm that Israel. I'm this Israel. And Facebook now is loaded with Israel. I never seen so many Israelites in my life. Black men and women saying that they Israel because Yah has poured his spirit upon his seed, and they springing up as willows amongst the water courses. And in Isaiah the 53rd chapter, he said, verse 3, he is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and we hid it as were our faces from him. He is despised and we esteemed him not. So who is this one that is despised and rejected of men? Who is this? Of sorrows and acquainted with grief. Well, if we turn to the book of Isaiah, the 60th chapter. Let's go to Isaiah 60. It says in Isaiah the 60th chapter, the 14th verse, it says, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that what? Despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of Yah, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel, wherein thou hast been what? Forsaken and what? We're the ones that have been forsaken and hated. We're the one that we are the speckled bird, and all the birds round about us is against us. The Koreans, the Japanese, the Philippines, you name it, the white birds, all of them. And that's why I said, all they come to the United States, they get a business, interest-free loan, and open up a nail shop, hair salon right in the black community, a little mom and pop store, and they feed off of us, of our people, and they get our money. So we don't believe in patronizing one another. And that's what happened. But they hate you. I only want you in there, get in and get out. Negro. Negro. Get in and get out. And he said, they hate it. He said, where thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee the eternal exit. That's why also when you move in a white, affluent neighborhood, the signs start going up in the community. Oh, we got one here. Oh boy. Oh, what is they Section 8? How they get over here? Oh boy, these Section 8 and these ends, where they coming from? The innocent, they coming out here where we at? Oh boy, where you selling your house? I'll put my house up on the market tomorrow. No, we ain't about to be around them. No, despised and forsaken and hated. That's why when you move in, they move out. They move out. And the Creator said, you hated, you were forsaken, you the one despised and rejected of men. You were a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. Always grieve the righteous. And see, when you read this, he's dealing with Israel. He's dealing with the past, present, the future. He's dealing with the righteous and the wicked. When you read and dealing with this prophecy. And the greed, he said, let's go back there, Isaiah 53. Now that you know who's despised and rejected of me, who's afflicted. And when you get there, back to Isaiah the 53rd chapter, let's read that again. Verse 3, he's despised and rejected of me, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hear that were our faces from him. He was despised and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of Elohim, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. So let's deal with all of this. Once again, he was despised. His servant supposed to be bruised. His servant supposed to be afflicted. And with his stripes, we are healed. So let's deal with this. Let's make the separation with this. We just left Isaiah 60, where it says he was despised, he was hated, he was afflicted. We're speaking about Israel. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, the 30th chapter. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 30. Jeremiah, the 30th chapter. And let's start at verse number 12. Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 12. Here it says, thus saith Yah, thy bruise is incurable. Didn't he say who's going to be bruised in Isaiah 53? And right now he's saying thy bruise and is incurable. Who did he say going to be wounded? He said, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause. That thou mayest being bound up, thou hast no healing medicines. We was wounded when the Creator took our name from us, our language from us, our land from us. He took himself away from us. That's how we was wounded. That's how we was bruised. He removed himself from us. He said, I'm going to hide myself from them. I'm going to see what their end shall be. For they are a very forward generation, children in whom is no faith. Y'all want these other gods? You don't need me? Okay. We're going to see about that. I'm going to send you into a land that is not yours, a land of your affliction, a land of your servitude, a land where you're going to be oppressed. And I'm the one that wounded you. He said, verse 14, all thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not, for I have what once again did what? I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, saith Yah. And with the what? Chastisement? Who's the one that was chastised in Isaiah 53? Wasn't Christ? Somebody else said, I'm the one that chastised you. And with the chastisement of a cruel one. For the multitude of thy iniquity, because thy sins were increased, I did these things unto thee. He said, why are you crying for your affliction? For thy sorrow is incurable. For the multitude of thy iniquity, because thy sins were increased, I have done these things unto thee. So this is somebody, Yah, saying this. And he said in verse 17, for I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds. So he's going to heal us. Although he wounded us. He wounded us. So we're the one that were despised, rejected. We're the one, we are the man of sorrows acquainted with grief. And we see when you're dealing with prophecy, you're reading this as if he's talking about one person. But he's not. And as you read along, you're going to see he's not. He's not at all. But let's go now. Let's go to Isaiah, the 51st chapter, the scroll. Isaiah chapter 51. Isaiah 51. And let's read the 22nd verse, from 21st verse of Isaiah chapter 51. Isaiah 51, verse 21. It says, therefore hear now this, thou afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. You're not staggering with strong drink of wine. But he said, hear this, afflicted. Here it is. I'm speaking to y'all in Isaiah 53rd chapter, you Israel. Thus saith Yah Elohim, that pleaded the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thy hand a cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury, and thou shalt no more drink it again. But I will put it into the hand of them that afflict thee, would have said to thy soul, bow down, that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body as the ground, and as the street of them that went over. And this is what happened in slavery. When a white man wanted to cross over a puddle of water, and if any African American people was around him, walking down the street with their head down, not looking over at Master, he said, hey girl, come here. I need you to lay down here. Cover that out. I need to cross this river. I need to cross this puddle of water. And of course, they were so scared and terrified of Master because they was indoctrinated with the slave book that told them that he was Christ in the flesh. So what they do, they laid down for Christ. And he used their body, stepped over, and walked over. Now, did this happen with the Christ of the New Testament? Was he despised and rejected of men? Was he a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief? What did they do when he came in? Let's hold this. Let's go to the book of the New Testament. Let's go to the book of John, what they call St. John. Let's go to St. John. Let's go to St. John. Let's go to St. John, the 12th chapter. St. John chapter 12. And let's read this. And you make this make this parallel. And you tell me what you think. In St. John, the 12th chapter, we're going to start reading in verse number 12. In St. John chapter 12. It says, on the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Christ was coming to Jerusalem, took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna! Blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. And Christ, when he had found a young ass, sat thereon, and as were written, fear not, daughter of Zion. Behold, thy king cometh sitting on an ass colt. These things understood not his disciples at the first, but when Christ was glorified, then he remembered that these things were written in him, and that they had done these things unto him. They broke down olive trees and branches, crying, Hosanna! Highest be to the king. Who was stepping on Christ's body, trying to get over a puddle of water? Nobody. Do like a man that was despised and rejected, and he had great multitudes that followed him. Go to the book of St. Luke. Go to St. Luke. Go to St. Luke, the 14th chapter. Talking about he's the one in Isaiah, the 42nd chapter, that said he opened not his mouth. They ain't talking about Christ. Go to St. Luke, the 14th chapter. He cried, my God, why have thou forsaken me? Go to St. Luke, the 14th chapter, the 25th verse, it says, and there went great multitudes with him. Great multitudes. You like this is a man that is despised and rejected of men? Christianity is the largest religion on earth. The largest. And he turned and said unto them, and this when he told them that in order to follow him, you want to be a disciple, you got to hate your father, mother, children, brothers, wife, even your own life also, if you want to be one of his disciples. But nevertheless, he had great multitudes of people following him. But the creator said his servant, go back to Isaiah 53, will be despised, rejected of men. You read what the creator said in Jeremiah, all the birds round about his servant, Israel, are against him. They ain't against Christ. Why would they want to be against a God that loves everybody? Why would they want to be against Christ when everybody can be a Christian, regardless of your nationality? But everybody can't be an Israelite. That's a birthright. So we go back to Isaiah, the 53rd chapter. Isaiah chapter 53. And we read in the 53rd chapter of Isaiah, it says in verse, all we like sheep, verse 6, have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and Yah have laid on him the iniquity of us all. Oh, they say, oh, we got you here, brother Yoel. Yah have laid on him the iniquity of us all. And they think, oh, they think it's talking about somebody that died for his sins. And later on, we're going to show you that this not even talking about in Hebrew, somebody died for your sins. But we ain't got there yet. Let's hold on for a minute. Let's deal with this. For Yah have laid on him the iniquity of us all. What is this saying? This letting me know when you study Torah and you study the book of the prophets, let me show you what I'm speaking about. Yah have laid on him the iniquity of us all. Go to the book of Ezekiel, the 4th chapter. Go to Ezekiel, the 4th chapter. Show you something. You go to Ezekiel, the 4th chapter. And who was Ezekiel? He was an Israelite. He is Israel. Look what Yah told the prophet Ezekiel. He said, thou also, son of man, take thee a teal and lay it before thee and portray upon it the city of even Jerusalem and lay siege against it and build a fort against it and cast a mount against it and set the camp also against it and set battering rams against it round about. Moreover, take thou unto thee an iron pan and set it for a wall of iron between thee and the city and set thy face against it, and it shall be besieged, and thou shalt lay siege against it. This shall be a sign to the house of Israel. Now look at this. Lie thou also upon thy left side, and lay the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it. According to the number of thy days, thou shalt lie upon it, thou shalt bear their iniquity. For I have laid upon thee, Ezekiel, the years of their iniquity, according to the number of the days. 390 days shalt thou bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. Now, is this saying that Ezekiel died for the people's sins? No. Is it saying that Ezekiel is now the savior of the Israelite world? No. But nevertheless, he told Ezekiel, you're going to bear the iniquity of the house of Israel 430 years, 394. Or let's read it. And when thou as a compass, lie again on thy right side. Verse 6, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. And I will appoint thee each day for a year. So Judah for 40 days, the house of Israel for 390 days. He said, I've given thee each day for a year, 430. You got to bear the iniquity. Notice he didn't say, Ezekiel, I'm going to cut your head off and you're going to die, you righteous prophet, for the sins of the wicked. No, he didn't say that. So how could you get somebody die for any man's sin? And if you know the law, in the book of the law, all you got to do is go to the book of Deuteronomy, 24th chapter. Deuteronomy chapter 24. And when you get Deuteronomy 24th chapter, let's read the 16th verse. It says, the father shall not die for the sins of the children, neither shall the children be put to death for the sins of the fathers. Every man shall be put to death for his own sin. You won't find a righteous man dying for the sins of any man. Of any man in the entire book. You can establish that doctrine. It don't exist. And then you go to the book of Bereshit, Genesis. Let's go to Genesis. Because Abraham asked this question that Christianity is teaching, that many Israelites believe in. It's true. Let's see what Abraham said. Now, y'all said Abraham was his friend. So let's see what y'all asked, or what Abraham asked somebody. Yeah. In the book of Genesis, the 18th chapter, do what Abraham said in verse 23. And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy Christ with the wicked? Now, many of you all believe that Christ kept all the commandments of God. He was righteous. He was perfect. So if he kept all the commandments and laws, he was righteous. So let's say Abraham was asking Yah, peradventure, wilt thou also destroy Christ with the wicked? Peradventure, there be 50 righteous within the city of Chicago, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, New York. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for Christ's sake and for the 50 righteous Israelites' sakes that's there? Since he said, I came not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. And he was amongst the righteous. And he was trying to bring sinners that believe in a doctrine that he died for their sins back to the Torah law, because he knew the Torah law says no righteous man can die for the sins of any wicked man. He said, that be far from thee. Abraham now said in verse 25, that be far from thee to do after this matter, to slay the righteous with the wicked, to slay Christ with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee. Shall not the judge of the whole earth do right? So he's questioning Yah. Because at this time, his nephew Lot was in Sodom and Gomorrah, a homosexual city. Like we in this nation, United States, a land that has made homosexuality the law of the land. And they wonder why they got viruses and it being plagued by Yah. All the wickedness has come up to the heavens. Been long time, been up in there, been came. And y'all say, I'm tired of this. It's time to totally destroy it. But right here, Abraham said, Yah said to Abraham in verse 26, and Yahweh said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. Because that's how much he loved the righteous. He will spare it. He's not going to destroy it. Why you living in Texas? Why would he let Russia drop a bomb in Texas and you living in there, Israel? Why would he let the nations come up against this land and destroy Chicago, and he got Israelites living in Chicago? That's righteous. He got Israelites living in Philadelphia, New York, all over the coast, outside the land, in Ghana, in Dimona, in West Africa, East Africa. Why would he destroy Israel? Why would he destroy the righteous with the wicked? He never does that. But what the mighty God does do if there's any righteous within there, he'll sift them out. Like he did Lot. Come on. He'll send his malaks, his angels. Go and get them. Now, there's been reported UFOs all over the nation lately. UFOs, unidentified flying objects. They've been all over Detroit, California, you name it. They've been all over. Now, why is this? What is these UFO things, these objects? What was that Ezekiel was saying in the book of Ezekiel? These cherubims. What's going on? Are you thinking and observing? You got watchers that watch the earth according to the book of Job. No, not the book of Job, book of Daniel. They watch. They record what's going on. This is time for us. We close to come up out of here. And my brothers, they just might be right. August the 20th, this might be the date. We ain't got here yet. But things got to speed up. But it just might be this year. I don't know. I don't know. I just got to go by the signs of Yah. But I know what's being planned, devised against us. That Yah allowed this heathen that he's going to do. But now Yah going to bring us up out of here. The righteous going to come. The right. A lot of people going to die. Rest their soul. May they rest. But he said, Abraham said, to not the judge of the earth, right? And Yah said, if I find in Sodom and Gomorrah 50 righteous within the city, I will spare all this place for their sake. Then he went all the way down to 10. And Yah said, if I find 10 there, Abraham, I'm going to spare it. I'm going to leave Cincinnati standing. I'm going to leave California standing. I'm not going to destroy Texas. So don't get afraid. You are the ones that's keeping that state up. And if not, a bomb would have been went off. Wherever you at, and destroyed that whole place. If there were no righteous in there. And Israelites are scattered to the four corners of the earth. So if y'all hear about something happening, and that whole nation has been consumed, you know what no righteous there at all. It's gone. If you hear California being totally destroyed, what no righteous in California? If you hear Cincinnati being totally destroyed, hey, that means me, myself included. Y'all said wasn't none fit to bring out. Wasn't no righteous there to bring out. They was wicked. They was corrupt. They didn't listen to me. And that's how he said he's going to do. And then we said he always worked. And then we go to the book of, that's how you say he laid the iniquity on us all. And he lays the iniquity of your brothers that don't know who they are. They're serving Christianity and Egyptology and this ism and that ism. You have to bear the iniquity as Ezekiel did. You have to bear it. You is the one that's carrying them. You is the one that's holding it up. You is the man, you is the woman that's standing in the gap. And this is what y'all said, he had people that stand in the gap, that keeps the place standing, that he looks for, that he don't destroy the land. So you bear the iniquity of the people. But that's not talking about him taking your life. And this is what Noah, Abraham's nephew Lot was doing in Sodom and Gomorrah. Y'all said, I will spare it. Then let's go to the book of Ezekiel, the 22nd chapter. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 22. Ezekiel, the 22nd chapter. And look what he says here. Ezekiel, the 22nd chapter. And we're going to read let's start Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 30. And like I said, y'all can call in. Anybody can call in that they want to. 513-377-5815. But let's go to Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 30. It says, now we're going to see in verse number 29, says the people of the land have used oppression. That's Ezekiel chapter 22, verse 29. The people of the land have used oppression, exercise robbery. Look what all they doing. And when he started in the 27th verse, he's speaking about these lying preachers collecting tithes, showing no difference between the holy and the profane. And tithes is holy. It's set apart. They're not teaching the people the difference between the clean and the unclean. They're not teaching the people not to eat pig in church. They're not teaching the people not to eat catfish in church and shrimp and goat and dogs. They ain't teaching the people not to eat monkey brains and all this seafood in the church. And the Creator said they using oppression, exercise of robbery, stealing right in the church, and have vexed the poor and needy. Vexed the poor and needy, the oppressed. Talking about the widows, they got to give them their money. They got to give them their Social Security money. They got to give you got to give them your taxes and all this stuff. And they get rich. He said, yeah, they have oppressed the stranger wrongfully. Supposed to be feeding the stranger. Helping it. Y'all said he got tithes for the widow, fatherless, and strangers. And Levite. That's what tithes was for. The third year tithe. The Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, or the orphan, and the widow. And they don't care if you're widow, you're fatherless, you give them tithes. They don't care. And the Creator said, and I sought for a man, verse 30, amongst them that should make up the hedge. He sought for a man that said, is anybody down there going to tell the truth? They're going to straighten out this mess. You got to stand in the hedge. You can't be scared of being ostracized. You can't be scared of being talked about. He said, is there anybody going to stand in the hedge? That thou shalt make up the hedge amongst them and stand in the gap before me for the land, that I should not destroy it. But the money y'all say, I found none. So what he would do, as he did in the days of Noah, I'll give man 120 years to turn from his wickedness. And during that time, Noah, you got to bear their iniquity. You got to bear it. Unfortunately, you, your righteous sons, your wife, they wives, your wife. But after my day decree, the 120 years, I'm bringing you out of it. So I'm going to give you instructions to build an ark. For indeed have I seen righteous before me in this generation. And there's no new thing under the sun. That y'all would never would have killed Noah and said, bring all the wicked into the boat. Build a boat for the wicked to survive. Build a boat for all the idolaters, all the whoremongers, all the thieves, the liars, the cutthroats. You build a boat for them. No, y'all don't work like that. And once you understand the way the Creator works, that mind, that sick voodoo mind, can be healed. So we go back to Isaiah the 53rd chapter. We go back to Isaiah the 53rd chapter. And we left off from verse number 6. For Yah had laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter. And as a sheep before his shearers is dumb, so he opened not his mouth. And as I said, if you go by the New Testament, Christ said, my God, why have you forsaken me? And the Father answered him not one mumbling word to anyone at any time. Now, who's the lamb? Is he the lamb? He's the sacrificial lamb, you say? Okay, but there's nothing new under the sun. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah. Let's see what another Israelite said. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, 11th chapter. Let's go to Jeremiah, the 11th chapter. See, all the prophets were despised. Mostly all of them were despised. And they were despised by the wicked. That's like my Muslim brother said, they was murdered by Israelites. They were despised by the wicked. And the wicked, the righteous is an abomination to the wicked. And the wicked is an abomination to the righteous. That's why most of your people that call themselves African American people, they hate you. Because you represent Yah. They don't want nothing to do with those commandments and laws. A lot of them. And they hate you. You become despised by your own family. Your own family say, get that devil stuff out of here. Get that coke stuff out of here. You were the one that despised Israel. The ones that you all that know by your own people. But right here in the book of Jeremiah 11th chapter, it said in verse 18, Yah have given me knowledge of it. Yah gave me knowledge of this. He gave me knowledge of all this. And I know it. That thou shouldest show us me their doings. But I was like a lamb or an ox that is brought to the slaughter. And I knew not that they devised devices against me, saying, let us destroy the tree with the fruit thereof, and let us cut him off from the land of the living. That his name may be no more remembered. And that's what you're reading about in Isaiah the 53rd chapter. He was cut out of the land of the living for the transgressions of my people. Y'all. Because when y'all sent our people into exile, Daniel, I don't care how righteous Daniel was. I don't care how righteous Ezekiel was or Jeremiah. They have to go. They have to go too. They're going to stand behind and say, oh, yeah, you know how righteous I am. Let me stay. No, you got to go too. Unfortunately, you got to go. And that's how we was cut off. We was cut off and sent to a land of our enemies. We couldn't stay. None of us. We all have to go. So he was cut off out of the land of the living for the transgression of my people. Was he stricken the righteous? Because you're dealing with the righteous and the wicked within the confines of Isaiah the 53rd chapter, folks. You're dealing with those that made their grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. You got to read this from a Hebrew perspective. Because when it's dealing with, let's keep on reading. Let's keep on reading. Let's go back to Isaiah, the 53rd chapter. But Jeremiah, he knew it. He knew what it was talking about. Cut off out of the land of the living. Cut off from their parts. Isaiah 53rd chapter. Verse 8, he was taken from prison and from judgment. And who shall declare his generation? Who shall declare his generation? Because it was many generations that this occurred, folks. It wasn't no one generation. Who could tell the generation that it happened in? It happened in the time of Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Hosea, many of the prophets. Who can declare this generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. He was afflicted. And when this get you understand, I don't care how righteous Daniel was, when he was in Babylon, he was under the curse of the law. Regardless how righteous he was. All of Israel was under the curse of the law. So he was stricken. He had them stripes that he had to get whooped with. And that was with the curses of the Most High. Yeah, he had to go to his enemies for one of all things as well. His name was changed from Daniel to Belshazzar. Who they changed the name of Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah to? Shadrach, Meshach, and a bad Negro. So they had to go through the curses. They couldn't escape the wrath of the mighty Yah, no matter how righteous they were. They had to serve the king of Babylon, put their neck under his yoke. And that's how they was cut off. That's how they were stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, verse 9, because he had done no violence, neither was there any deceit in his mouth. And so you read this from KJV perspective. But when you read this from Hebrew, the prefix to the word meaning our transgressions and our iniquities, the Hebrew word you'll see is the meaning. It's a prepositional prefix meaning from and not for. In other words, it should read, he was wounded from our transgressions. He was bruised from our iniquities. It's not talking about a man who died for our sins, people. But it's really talking about a man that perished or died, or the righteous that died as a result of our sins. As a result of our sins. And when you're looking at deaths, dealing with death, and the rich in his death, there should be deaths, not death, not one death, but deaths. Because he had done no violence, neither was there any deceit in his mouth. So you're dealing with past, present, and future tense. Here, you're only dealing with Israel. Y'all serving. The servant that I established, starting from what they call the 52nd chapter. This is the only one he's dealing with. But he deals with, when he's speaking about serving and his people, he dealing with his elect, which is Israel. He dealing with Jacob, who is Israel. But in Isaiah the 49th chapter, you're dealing with Jacob, and he's asleep. He don't know that he's Israel. Oh, do this for me. Hope there's a go back to Isaiah the 49th chapter. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Isaiah the 49th chapter. In verse 5, look what it says. And now saith Yah that formed me from the womb to be his servant, he's speaking to Israel, to bring Jacob again to him. Now, why do Israel need to bring Jacob back to the mighty Yah? Ain't Jacob Israel? Yes. But the difference is, this Jacob don't know that he's Israel. So Yah got to take Israel, his elect, those who witness for him, who serve him only. They got to bring Jacob or Yaakov. We call him dead Jacob, because they are caught up in religions today. And we got to bring them back to Yah. We got to bring them to the Most High. So you got to know how Yah speaks when you're dealing with language and interpretation of scriptures. So we go back to Isaiah, the 53rd chapter. Go back to 53. And it said, yet it pleased Yah to bruise him and put him to grief, and thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin. You will never see anywhere in the Levitical law where any person was put on the altar. No one was put on the altar. Only thing that was put on the altar was animals. A sacrifice, an altar for animal sacrifice, not for human sacrifice. And it says, it pleased Yah to bruise him and to put him, but thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin. But who is this offering for sin? How are you going to make Israel an offering for sin? What is he talking about? Let's go to the book of Isaiah. We're still in the scroll. Go to the 66th chapter. 66th chapter. Let me show you how you're going to make Israel an offering for sin. Go to 66th chapter of Isaiah. We're going to read verse number 18. Start there. It says, for I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come to pass that I will gather all nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory. Now, who was his glory? Israel. They're going to come and see you, Israel. It's Yah's glory. And I will set a sign amongst them, and will send those that escape of them unto the nations, to Tarshish, Pool, and Lud that drove the boat, to Tubal and Javan, to the isles afar off, that have not heard my fame, neither have seen my glory. And they shall declare my glory amongst the Gentiles. And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto Yahweh out of all nations, upon horses, chariots, mules, litters, with beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem. So the other nations are going to be bringing us for an offering. An offering of what? For sin. For their sins. For having us in slavery. For doing what they did to us. Because the mighty Yah said, the ones that afflicted us shall come bending unto us. And we're going to take them captives whom we were captives. And we're going to rule over our oppressors for a time and a season until we just do away with them. But they're going to bring us for an offering. Like, will you forgive me, Yah? Will you pardon us for what we have done to your people? And here we brought 5 of your children back to you. Will you spare from destroying us, from consuming us? And that's what's going to happen. The other nations going to bring us back for an offering. Then I read in this same chapter in scroll, in Isaiah the 60th chapter, how you're going to go back on planes, the ships of Tarshish, as it says here. You're going to go back. And they're going to bring you back for an offering with gold, silver, all that. So let's go back to Isaiah the 53rd chapter. Isaiah 53. And say, he shall see. Let me say, an offering for sin, and he shall see a seed. Christ didn't have no seed. And this seed is offspring in Hebrew, folks. This is offspring. He had no seed. He died at what, 32, 33 years of age? No seed. And I never read that he was even married. He probably himself followed what Paul said. Good gracious almighty. And then if he's a lamb, in Torah law, the only lamb that could be offered for sin was a female. No male lamb at all. Go to the book of Leviticus. Go to Leviticus, the 4th chapter. Leviticus chapter 4. And let's read in Leviticus, the 4th chapter. It said that if he bring a lamb for a sin offering, he shall bring it a female without blemish. A female without blemish. If he bring a sin offering, a lamb. I never read of male lamb given for sin. Now maybe somebody else know it is, but I haven't read it. It's female. So how he's going to be the lamb? Now anybody got any questions? So what I just went over? Call in. Call in 513-377-5815. Call in. Anybody got any questions on what I just went over? And this is Isaiah, the 53rd chapter. Isaiah chapter 53. Don't wait till I get off. Call in. Because there's nowhere in the scroll of the book that y'all even talk about Christ of the New Testament. It said, verse 11, you shall see the travail of his soul and shall be satisfied by his righteous knowledge. Shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. But he said, Christ opened not his mouth, and there was no deceit in his mouth. If there was no deceit found in the Christ of the New Testament, then turn the book of Matthew, the 5th chapter, out the book. Because within the confines of that chapter alone, he attempted to alter the laws of Yah. He said, you are heard it said by them, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but I say unto you that you resist not evil. That's deceit. He said, if you want to be perfect, he said, go sell what you have and give it to the poor. That's deceit. He said, if a man put away his wife for anything other than fornication, he calls her to commit adultery. That's deceit. And then the Christ of the New Testament out of his own mouth cursed the Most High. He cursed the Father out of his own mouth. So this is where we at. So who wanna say something in regards to this? Regardless of Paul's letters, Pauline's doctrine, or Isaiah chapter 53. Who wanna call in? 513-377-5815. Call in. The floor is yours. It's open. Call in. Anyone. But it's not talking about him. Nowhere in the book. Nowhere at all. So I hope that it helped. But I like answering questions. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Because it's y'all asking me the questions. Not me asking you questions. Y'all asking me the questions. So call in. 513-377-5815. But if not, once again, I thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for your patience, your indulgence, your tolerance, and just giving it consideration. Just giving it consideration what was said today here on Truth for Tradition. And with that, let me see before I go off. I like to say, I like to give shouts out to my beautiful brothers and sisters. That 2 men. Let me see. Let me step away for a minute. Let me see. Sherry Holmes, shalom, Jessica. Michelle, shalom, Sister Shanuka. Shalom to you all. Praise the mighty Yah. I hope you all got something out of it. And I hope those that was on wasn't scared to ask something. Shalom, elder. Shalom. And may mighty Yah bless you all. May he keep you all. And like I said, if y'all can pull up any minister in the world, they want to dialogue with me. They got some heart. Get them. Anytime, any place, let me know. And I'll broadcast, I'll go live. And that's how I roll. That's how I rock. Because I'm a witness and servant of the Most High Yah. And with that being said, y'all have a blessed rest of your day. Enjoy it. I don't know about y'all. It's hot down here in Cincinnati. It's like 90 degrees. And they want us to wear masks. They want to suffocate us, kill us. Good gracious almighty. So I said, I mean, let me stay in the air. But y'all be safe. May y'all bless you. May he keep you in perfect peace. And I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Shalom, shalom, shalom.